Erev Tov to everybody. It gives me great pleasure to thank Evelyn Cleff, who is sponsoring this video, and it's for a very good occasion, for a special birthday, and we wish her and all the family have made a lot of Mazal Tov and Nachas, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give you and your family always a lot of happiness and joy, and that, as we say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Mishalot Libechem L'Tova, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give you everything that you want for the good. What I wanted to do in this week's Parsha, Parshat Va'era, I wanted to start a series to do a little something a little bit different, to give a series of, let's say, 3 or 4 videos on the Inyanim of Zemirot, the Zemirot of the Shabbat. I always wanted to do it, and I found like excuse in a way when it comes to Parshat Va'era, because in Parshat Va'era, of course, we learn about the beginning of the Makot, and how Moshe Rabbeinu starts to save the Jewish people from Yetziat Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim. And there's a connection actually between the keeping of Shabbat and between Yetziat Mitzrayim. The Tur, in his comments to Shulchan Aruch, what he says is as follows. He says that unlike Yom Tov, where all the tefillot of the Shmoneh Esrei of Yom Tov are basically 7, but the middle bracha is all about Yom Tov, and the nusach and the text is uniform. In other words, whether Adavan the Ma'ariv of Yom Tov, or the Shachrit morning prayers of Yom Tov, or Mincha of Yom Tov, the nusach, the text is always the same. But when it comes to Shabbat, it's not like that. The nusach on Erev Shabbat is that when we speak about Shabbat, about Hashem, we speak about God creating the world in 6 days and then conferring on the world, or so uplifting it with the 7th day. In the morning, we've got a totally different nusach. We start the first 3 brachot, and then afterwards we speak about another aspect of Shabbat, and we started with the famous words, Yismach Moshe b'matnat chelko ki eved ne'eman karatelo. That Moshe Rabbeinu, Yismach Moshe b'matnat chelko, in his portion that you gave him, ki eved ne'eman karatelo, because you said that he was a true servant. And then Kalil Tiferet Rosho, we speak about his ray of light, which he had when he came down from Matan Torah, from Har Sinai, and then he gave us the Shnei Luchot HaBrit, which contains the Inyan of Shabbat. So yeah, we speak about Shabbat not in its context of creation, but Shabbat as far as Matan Torah is concerned. And some people say that the connection between Shabbat and mentioning Moshe is because we know that on Matan Torah, on Shavuot, happened on a Shabbat. So that's why we mention Moshe. And then finally, on Mincha, we speak about the Nusach again has changed, and we say Ata Echad, Shimcha Echad, etc. And there we speak more about the aspect of Shabbat being to someone who's on that level, of giving a person a taste of Olam Haba. But what is interesting is that the Midrash says that Moshe, and here I'm coming to the connection with Zemirot, is that when we speak about Moshe and Shabbat, it's not because he gave us, when we say let him rejoice with his lot, it's not only because he gave us the Torah in which Shabbat is mentioned, but before the Torah was already mentioned, what Moshe Rabbeinu did was as follows. He came, the Midrash says, he saw how the Jewish people are oppressed, and it so upset him. It gave him it pained him so much that he came to Paro, and he did the following. He said to him, listen, Paro, you've got slaves here. You want them to be effective in their work. So what you have to do is that they can't be effective if they're going to work incessantly. You have to give them a break so that afterwards they'll be more fruitful in their production. They'll be more effective in their production. So therefore, give them a day of rest. So Parsha said, okay, yeah, it makes sense what you do. Choose the day that you want. And Moshe Rabbeinu, what he did was he chose Shabbat. And during that time of Shabbat, when there was a little bit of respite, so then they had certain documents, which they would scrolls, which would learn certain teachings of Torah. And so you see that that's what it means when the Torah says that on Shabbat we have to speak about, mention in our tefillot, Moshe Rabbeinu, and may be happy in his lot. He's happy because he saved the Jewish people already before Matan Torah and gave them the ability to, in some way, enjoy a little bit of peace, a little bit of rest on Shabbat. And that's the connection between Moshe Rabbeinu and being happy with his lot that we mentioned on Shabbat. And having said that, now I wanted to again to start off a little bit about speaking about Shabbat, the Zemirot of Shabbat, and I'll take about 3 or 4. I want to start off today with just speaking about like very well-known ones, the one that we swing on Friday night, the Karibon, Olam Be'omaya. Some words of introduction. There's a famous observation of Rab Soloveitchik that he says, why is it that we sing Zemirot on Shabbat and we don't sing Zemirot on Yom Tov? What is it about Shabbat that we speak words of praise, songs of praise to Hashem, and why on Yom Tov is there no such a notion, no such a concept of Zemirot? I mean, we sing at the table, but there's no such a thing as Zemirot Yom Tov. And Rav Soloveitchik says because Shabbat is a day which was given to us by Hashem. It was a day in which Hashem made it something which is special. The day of Yom Tov, on the other hand, there are special days, but they are initiated, so to speak, by the Jewish people. It's a national holiday, and that national holiday is ushered in by none other than the Beit Din. The Beit Din, what they do is they see the new moon. We calculate according to their calculations when will be Yom Tov, and because the initiative, so to speak, the initiation of the Yom Tov comes from man, so we don't really sing Zemirot. But this matana, this great gift from on high, which comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that's why it deserves Zemirot. We sing about the greatness of the day. And as I said already in an introduction, that Shabbat, because it has these 3 aspects of Shabbat, already from creation, not even connected with the Jewish people, that I'll give Bezat Hashem maybe a comment in later times. But and then there's the aspect of Shabbat when it comes to the Jewish people, unique to the Jewish people via Moshe Rabbeinu. And finally, there is again for people who are on a high madrega can experience a little bit of Olam Haba, the greatness of the world to come, the serenity and the peace and the spirituality, a little bit of it on Shabbat. So that's why on Shabbat, because of its special status, therefore we sing songs of praise on the Shabbat. Okay, so the first one, having said that introduction, we'll go now straight away on to the Karibon. The Yaribon was composed by the famous Rabbi Yisrael Najara. He was a Talmid. He was a disciple of the Ari HaKadosh. So we're speaking about the beginning of we're speaking about the 16th century. He lived for a while in Tzvat, and then afterwards he was the Rav of Azza. So just remember that as a historical fact. There were always Jews in Azza, right, as early as the 1500 and something. To get back to the point, his name, if you take the Zemira of the Yaribon, so you'll see that it's the beginning of each single paragraph. It starts off Karibon with a Yud, then Shvachin Asader is a Shin, then the next paragraph Rav Revin, which speaks, and then the next one Elaha, and the last stanza the Mikdash Echtuv. So it spells his name Yisrael. What is unique, first of all, about this Zemira? First of all, it's the only Zemira that we sing on Shabbat, which is Aramaic. It's not. It's all the other Zemirot composed by the liturgists and by the great poets of Am Yisrael. They are all in Hebrew. And the only one which is famous, which we do which we sing, is this one of Rabbi Yisrael Najara, which is in Aramaic. That's unique feature number one. Unique feature number two is that actually, if you look at the Mizmor, at the Zemirot, there's actually nothing mentioned about Shabbat. I mean, I just raced through some of the stanzas. It speaks about Master Karibon, Master of all the worlds, our God, adored, King of Kings, right? Melech Antu Melech Malka Melech Malchaya. You have the King of Kings. Ovad Gvutech V'Timada. Your wondrous deeds are to be applauded. Shvar Kodamach Lach Vaya. We sing to you with one accord. Then it speaks about how we will sing and how that you created everything, angels, mortals, beasts, the human beings you made, and then Rav Ravina of Dech V'Takipin, your great good deeds are vast in scale. And we say, Lu Yichyeh Gvar Shnin Alfin, even if we would live for 1,000 years, La Ya'il Gvutech B'Chushbanaya, we could not contain and not be able to speak about, calculate all your great wonders. And the last one, we say that you've got glory, and we daven to Hashem. Prok yat anach mipur malvata. Take us, the Jewish people, from the lion's jaw, and bring us out of the galut. And the last stanza, the Mikdash Tuva leKodesh Kodashim, return us, come back to your temple, and there, Atay diviyechten ruchin v'nafshin. There's joy of our souls, and v'zamru nach shirin v'rachashim. There in the temple, we were able to really sing as we should sing. I'll come to it in a moment. Be'Yerushalayim katadu shufraya. In Yerushalayim, the beauty again will shine. So we'll be speaking now about a Zemirot, which has got nothing to do with Shabbat, but it's speaking about only the redemption. Some people say because Shabbat is the ambassador, so to speak, of a redemption. Some people say that actually Rabbi Yisrael Najara, he never intended this as a Shabbat Zemirot. He just intended it that it should be a Zemirot. And the Jewish people, they took now this great poem and this great song, and they adopted it on Shabbat. So I'd like to, there's so much to say, but I already see that I'm up to 13 minutes. So I just want to share with you one word of one other word, or two words. First of all, that we said this was Aramaic. All of this is based on the psukim on Daniel. When Nebuchadnezzar, when he heard about how the prophet Yechezkel, that what he did was he resurrected the bones in the dry bones in the valley of Dora. So Nebuchadnezzar, look in Daniel chapter 3, Nebuchadnezzar himself, who is the king, the first king of the exile over the Jewish people, he breaks out in song praising Hashem for his works. So what this Rabbi Yisrael Najara has done is he's taken those words of praise, which are mentioned in Aramaic as part of Nebuchadnezzar's praise, and he has adopted us that we should praise. And he hints in that one of those, in the second last stanza, take us out of the jaws of the lion. That's, of course, again, associated with Daniel, that the lion represents over here the enemies of the Jewish people want to eat us up. And that's what happened with Daniel himself, that he was thrown to the lions. So now I end off with an explanation, a beautiful explanation of Rav Soloveitchik on this inyan. And the last stanza, I'll just read it again. It says, "Lemikdashech tuva lekodesh kodashim." Return to your mikdash, lekodesh kodashim, to the holy of holies. Atar dive yechadun ruchim v'nafshin. That's the place where there is joy to our soul and to our spirit. V'zamru nach shirin v'rachashim. There our songs will combine to sing for you, right? V'Yerushalayim kaita de shufraya. Now, Rav Soloveitchik says in the city of beauty, Yerushalayim. So Rav Soloveitchik says that we've got a mitzvah, there's a special mitzvah to sing in the Beit HaMikdash, and these are made up of two components. The first component is that what we have to do is that the Levim have to sing. They sing whilst the korbanot are being brought. Then there's a second mitzvah of singing in the Beit HaMikdash, which is independent of the Levim singing as part of the Beit HaMikdash, but afterwards we do it partly. We say Shir Shel Yom every single day of the week. What we do is a psalm and we recite it, and then also the Levim sing. But what makes the song in the Beit HaMikdash unique? What makes it unique is that it was accompanied with instruments. And Rav Soloveitchik says that that's what we're davening for. We're davening that we should not only, like now on Shabbat, be able to sing to you with our mouths, but what we should do is we should sing to you with our mouths and with instruments. And singing with our mouths and instrument was an integral part of the song on Beit HaMikdash, which we don't do outside of the Beit HaMikdash. We only do it inside the Beit HaMikdash. And now Rav Soloveitchik, in his normal, profound way of looking at things, he said, why is it in the Beit HaMikdash that has to be a combination of, number one, singing with our mouths, a choir, and also with instrument? There's also had to be an orchestra. What is the meaning of that? So Rav Soloveitchik says, the meaning is that we have to sing with our mouths. We articulate in words our great yearning and love to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but then we also have to play instruments. The instruments are without music, without words. And the music without words reflect what we sang, what we said in the Karibon. Even if a person will live thousands of years, he cannot incorporate all the wonders that you Hashem done. And that is emphasized and expressed through the music, only through the nigun, only through instruments, without words. And hence in Beit HaMikdash, we have this perfect combination of singing with the mouth and at the same time having an instrument which reflects Hashem's boundless goodness and wonders, which is just reflected with music. Shabbat Shalom Lekula.